Boys, Mega Evolution is returning to Pokemon in Legends ZA. So today, we're playing through the 6th generation of Pokemon with Shiny Megas only. Both in Kalos and the refreshed version of Hoenn. And already, you might be wondering, Trails? What happened to you? Something's different. Why are you so much more handsome? It's glow up season, everybody, and I hope you subscribe to come along for the ride. So this video began from a place of uncertainty. Here on the channel, we've been going through the generations of Pokemon, and it was time for Generation 6. I decided while I think about what exactly it is I want to do for this video, I would hunt for a shiny starter. So during the downtime of a really big shiny hunting project that will take a very long time, we begin the hunt. My choice for this was Trico. Sceptile has a nice shiny, and gaining a new type on the Mega Evolution was a big sell for my brain. You might be wondering, what exactly are the options for this challenge? And that depends heavily on whether we're playing X and Y or ORAS. For ORAS, there are a lot more Mega Evolutions available, perhaps almost too many options. So looking to narrow down the choices, I noticed that a lot of the Mega Stones are only available in the postgame. So using one of those Pokemon wouldn't really be all that cool because I wouldn't be able to Mega Evolve it during the challenge. Therefore, only Pokemon I was able to Mega Evolve before the end of the game were allowed. While you still have plenty of options in ORAS, X and Y are a different story. Typically, when you do a challenge like this, you'll want a full team of 6 Pokemon at some point. But when you add up all of the Pokemon in X and Y that meet these criteria, you get a total of 6 Pokemon. Technically 8 Pokemon and 9 Mega Stones, but you'll only get 6 in one copy of the game. So after getting our starter and progressing to just before the first gym, our first hunt in X and Y has been decided, and we're looking for Riolu, which, right away, is the most daunting hunt of this challenge. Riolu is the only Pokemon before the first gym that has a Mega Evolution line in X and Y, and is found at a whopping 5% encounter rate on Route 22. And again, we're going to need this to be shiny, which means to reach the shiny odds for this hunt, you'd need to do 81,920 encounters. And with each encounter taking roughly 20 to 30 seconds to find, using one system, this would take a cool 683 hours. Yikes. Now, I would be absolutely crazy to only be hunting this on one system, so after a little bit of time, I started hunting on my Japanese copies of the game as well. And my friends, you too could also be the proud owner of many Japanese products, thanks to today's video sponsor, Zen Market. Zen Market is a Japanese shopping platform helping over 2 million people order products from Japan without the hassle of having to learn Japanese. And of course, without the hassle of having to go to Japan. You can shop Japanese products in 19 different languages, with direct integrations for Rakuten, Amazon, Yahoo, and Mercari's Japanese market fronts. And the shopping process is super simple. Just use your language and currency and get to shopping. Here I've searched for Pokemon X game, and boom, here it is, $15 US. I'm not 100% sure if this is a loose cartridge or not, but if we head over to eBay, we can see we're still getting a good deal either way. For the cartridge only, we typically see $18, $19, $20 for the Japanese version of the game. And if we want the full package, we're going to be looking at 28, 27, or 24 down here as well. You do pay Zen Market a small fee for their services, but it's definitely worth the price, especially for those products you can only find in Japan. I decided to look for Pokemon figurines in the Rakuten storefront, and just look what I found, guys. Come on, we got another Eepee Borb here to add to the collection. And if I wanted to buy this right now, but I wanted to wait and buy some other products before having them send a shipment to the US, Zen Market offers you 60 days of free storage so you can keep shopping and then ship when you're ready. And you can save big on international shipping when you use my promo code TRAILSPOKEMON when you sign up for your account. You'll get a free 1,000 Zen points, and with those, you can reduce the cost of international shipping by 1 yen per Zen point. They gave me a registration link for you guys with this already filled in here. It was a little long though, so I went ahead and shortened the URL for you down below, and it will bring you to this page, and you click on it, and it will bring you to the proper sign up page with the code filled in. Once again, use my link or the promo code TRAILSPOKEMON to get your 1,000 Zen point bonus. Thank you to Zen Market for the sponsor, and now let's get back to the shiny hunting. To get this 683-hour estimate down, I started hunting on multiple copies of X and Y, and even went as far as buying another 3DS for this video. So you should leave a like, you know what I'm saying? Then I also got Black and White 2 involved, hunting in Flockacy Ranch, which is still a 5% encounter rate, but with the shiny charm improving our odds slightly. With some math, we can determine that the overall odds of this setup would be about 1 in 3550. Therefore, odds on this hunt would then go to about 71,000 encounters and taking roughly 113 to 171 hours to reach based on efficiency, which is still pretty rough, but you know, it's not 700 hours rough. This hunt looks like it'll take a while, so let's swap over to ORAS. After doing an initial stream where I was hunting the starter on the side, only getting about 100 encounters done on it, something made me fully commit and go all in. So after the stream, we would be hunting Trico for many hours of the day on 2 systems. Unfortunately, I did not save a lot of footage of this hunt, and at times I just wasn't recording at all. At the time I was thinking, is my reaction really that important anyway? And I would like to tell you yes. Yes, it was, because I wasn't recording, and my reaction was peak comedy. I was hunting Trico, and if you aren't paying attention and you just keep pressing A, you'll select Torchic instead. And I think you can see where I'm going with this. It just so happened that one of these times I selected Torchic, it was shiny. I wasn't recording, so here's me right after I found it. God dang it. God dang it. God dang it. So I'm here editing audio for the Gen 5 Shiny Charm video. Kept spamming A. What are the odds that I get a shiny? But boom. We have a shiny Torchic here. My god, man. I was kinda mad, because after Torchic, the shinies for the evolution line are terrible. And if you don't agree with me, I mean, come on, you're just lying to yourself. Look at these things. These are not different enough to be considered a good shiny. This hunt took 2,436 encounters, lasting 22 hours and 47 minutes. 22 hours, huh? This is under odds and with 2 systems, so this could have taken a lot longer. But at the end of the day, I was really stoked to get this done, as this was my first ever successful starter hunt, and it was befitting of the most fantastic nickname I could think of. And for some reason that was to put Mega Chicken Nugget into Google Translate and see what would fit in the text box. Hawaiian it is. Anyway, with the first shiny of the challenge acquired, we could begin the story. And for whatever reason, our first trainer battle with Brendan would also begin with some crazy luck. Getting the shiny starter was lucky, of course, and we'd follow that up with getting 3 consecutive crits against Brendan. I obviously knew this was rare, even at the time, but I didn't do the math and didn't understand it was another shiny type rare. And now I'm a little mad about that. You know, I want another shiny Pokemon instead. We'd grabbed the Pokedex, Brendan gave me his balls, and we met up with our only father in the franchise. He made us babysit some kid named Wally, and after this, I decided to start playing around with the Dex Nav. I wanted to grab a few Zigzagoons with pickup, and I also wanted a Surskit for Sweet Scent later. After catching everything I wanted, we'd make our way through Petalburg Woods and into Rustboro City, home of the first gym. Torchic is objectively the worst starter when it comes to the first gym. Every move we have access to is not very effective, and Double Kick only comes after the Combuskin evolution. But level grinding until evolving would just be way too easy. So I did make myself a bit of a soft level cap rule. I decided to enter the gym at the gym leader's highest level, and any additional levels has to come from the gym trainers inside. But you know what, this would leave us just short of that Combuskin evolution before fighting Roxanne. When I was first starting out, I also didn't really want to use items in battle, but I would loosen up on that and get rid of that rule over time, just to save time and not have to worry about RNG grinding for something that might be more difficult. Because for example, this fight was winnable with just Torchic. It took several tries, and Sand Attack was necessary. Only 2 or 3 hits from Rock Tomb would take out Torchic. After some trial and error, I found 2 Sand Attacks to be optimal, and we would really have to bank on getting a burn to reduce some of the damage from one of the Rock Tombs. And it helps with a little bit of chip damage too. And this is how our winning battle goes. 2 Sand Attacks, and Geodude finally lands a Rock Tomb just before it faints. With Torchic at -1 speed, we still outspeed Nosepass on the Sand Attacks, forcing it to miss. On the 3rd turn, it lands a Rock Tomb, and an Oran Berry puts us at 13 HP. This puts us into Blaze range, but we're also safe if Nosepass uses Tackle. And this was still very sketchy. It took 5 more turns to finally take it down. And the amazing part is it only hit 1 tackle in the process. But our patience is rewarded with not only the badge, but the evolution from Torchic to Combuskin. This is not a shiny, man. Come on. Since our only shiny right now is terrible, and we just beat the first gym, it would make sense to hunt for another shiny now. But at the moment, our options for what we can grab are a little limited. In ORAS, before you can talk to Steven, you need to beat the gym first. And they heavily redesigned Granite Cave in ORAS, so now you need the Mach Bike to be able to get to some of the Pokemon that are in here. So I decided we'll just take on the gym with Chicken Nugget, and we'll hunt after. And because we're now a Combuskin going against 2 unevolved Pokemon, Brawly's gym would be a bit of a cakewalk. 2 Embers and 2 Pecks are all I needed to take his team down. So this would get us the second badge, so now we can talk to Steven, we can go to Slateport, but before we can make our way to Mauville, we need to fight Brendan. This is definitely one of the hardest rival fights in the franchise, but our Mega Chicken Nugget, he made it look easy. Against Shroomish, we use 2 Bulk Ups and dodge a couple Stun Spores. A Flame Charge easily takes it out, and we only have to tank 1 hit from Marshtomp before we can clean up the rest of his team. Brendan was our last major obstacle before making it to Mauville. Now we can get the bike, which means we can now backtrack to Granite Cave, and we can set our sights on the next target. There are several options for what we can go for, based on the game version we're playing, and for what we're willing to put up with. Abra was technically available before the second gym, but obviously trying to get one of those would be terrifying. I tried to make it work with the Dex Nav, but it was just not happening. So I went with a different hunting method, one you've definitely seen if you've seen Gen 6 hunting before: horde hunting. When in an area you can encounter wild Pokemon if you use Sweet Scent or the Honey item, the game will attempt to spawn a horde of 5 Pokemon at once. And seeing 5 Pokemon at once obviously speeds up the shiny hunting process. It does strain the system a bit, but you accept the lag because it's still nearly 5 times as fast as normal encounters. In Granite Cave we have Zubat at 60%, but the other 40% is split between 2 Pokemon that are both capable of Mega Evolution when they're fully evolved. Aaron is here at 35%, and in Omega Ruby, Mawile is a 5% horde spawn. In Alpha Sapphire, this would be Sableye instead, but it still fits the criteria for this challenge. But Mawile is the correct choice because you're able to Mega Evolve it much earlier. So with this hunt underway, let's check back on the hunt for Riolu. Now let's remember just how crazy this hunt for Riolu was. With 5 systems, 2 playing Gen 5 with the Shiny Charm and 3 at full odds in Kalos, the hunt is roughly 1 in 71,000. This is less likely than finding a 3-segment Dudunsparce with the Sparkling Power 3 sandwich and the Shiny Charm. This makes that hunt look good in comparison because you find your spawns much faster, and at least you're still finding quite a few shiny Pokemon in the meantime. And you'd be finding a 2-segment evolution or a wild Dudunsparce about 5 times as often. However, I was getting pretty lucky when it came to just finding shinies in general. Check it out.
Whoa! Oh my god! It's so fast. Oh. Okay. Oh my god! Let's go! Wait. Oh my god. Bro, I just stopped recording! What the frick? Oh, yo! Shiny Psyduck. Oh, yo!
5 shinies and 11,000 encounters, a bit better than you would expect. But because of the animations and sometimes just not finding encounters, this still took over 21 hours. And we weren't even done yet. This was only a 1/7 of the way there. We'd have to do this 6 more times. And I deemed that having to focus on 5 things at once for that long, or potentially a lot longer if I got unlucky, was just too mentally draining. So I would take to Gen 5 and hunt for shiny Riolu using the Masuda method. In my mind, this hunt was not worth going crazy over, so double Masuda hunting in Gen 5 was the more appealing option to me. It still takes about 9 hours to reach 500 encounters, which is about half odds. And it was around then that I would acquire the shiny. But this isn't the full story, and I'll explain later. For now, we'll transfer Riolu up to Gen 6, who is affectionately named Kaua Uhane. Google Translate says that's Fight Spirit. Did I pronounce that correctly? Probably not. Is it even correct? I don't know. And with our fighting spirit, we would take on the first gym. Bug type isn't exactly a fighting type's best friend, but thanks to the help of egg moves, we have an absolute unit for a young Riolu. He hatched with Swords Dance on the moveset, and we can just use that and Quick Attack our way to victory. And with the first badge in hand, we can make our way over to Lumiose City, where we can begin our next hunt. Upon reaching Sycamore's lab for the first time, you'll have a battle with him, where he uses the 3 Kanto starters. And once defeated, we'll be able to choose one of these Pokemon to take with us. You get the Mega Stone for whichever one you choose, but I was basic and decided to go with Charmander. Had to use that Charizard clickbait to my advantage. And the resets would go a lot faster thanks to a trick I learned from SMK Gaming. If you have a full party of 6, you can reject taking the Pokemon that you want at first, so he'll hold on to it for you, but you can come back for it later. This does lock you into whatever choice you make, but it makes the hunt significantly faster. I would play catch up with one of my Japanese copies of the game to be able to hunt this on 2 systems. And with an encounter every 30 seconds, this would net me 4 encounters per minute. Therefore, to reach odds on the hunt, it would take roughly 17 hours. At 5,034 encounters, I'd finally acquire the shiny. But again, this isn't the full story, and I promise I will explain soon. First, we have to make some progress in the game. This is the first time I've played X and Y in maybe 9 or 10 years, and all I can say is, wow, it takes so long to get down to business. I don't care how much you like Kalos, if we're being honest, you have to admit, having to go through 8 routes, 2 caves, and a forest before reaching the second gym is a bit of a yikes. Especially when you have my own self-imposed problem here, having both of these Pokemon have the trade experience bonus, and I'm trying to have a level cap for the gyms. And throughout the game I had to frequently toggle the experience share on and off to make sure we weren't going over the level cap. Something I didn't have to do much in ORAS. But with there being so much time and so many things to do before the second gym, we'd unlock yet another hunt for this challenge. In the Glittering Cave at the end of Route 9, using Rock Smash has a small chance to find you a fossil. Conveniently, the only fossil you can find from this method before the post-game is the Old Amber, allowing us to collect a bunch of them and shiny hunt for Aerodactyl. We get the Megastone for it by talking to the lead scientist after saving his co-worker from Team Flare. One major negative to this hunt is the amount of setup it takes. The chance to get a fossil from Rock Smash is small, and it took me around 4 hours to find enough fossils to be able to hunt on 3 systems. I got lucky with the first 5 only taking about 30 minutes, but then the rest of them didn't come easy at all. Each system can get a rate of 5 Aerodactyl per 2 minutes. So with 3 of them you would hit odds in about 9 hours. My timer here is quite off from that because I was adding those systems in slowly as I was getting more fossils, but I was also hunting for it already. So after 5 hours of hunting I was only around 900 encounters, and that's where I would get the shiny. Or would I? With these first few shinies in Pokemon Y, I've been telling you guys this isn't the full story. And the full story is, I cheated. So I started X and Y after I had already finished up ORAS. And by that point, part of me was completely over forcing myself to do these hunts. These were all full odds hunts that were pretty slow in one way or another, and I couldn't help but think, I'm really wasting a lot of time here. And because I was doing all of this off stream, part of me thought to myself, I could open up PK Hex right about now. And so after giving these hunts a decent amount of effort, that's what I did. And you know what? If I were to go back in time, I would probably do it again. Because this whole ordeal got me thinking, what am I doing with myself, man? Here I am, trying to cheat on a shiny hunting challenge in a Pokemon game and pass it off as legit by faking my reaction. Have I gone this far? Have I stooped this low? The next thing you know, I'm gonna be in a Karl Jobst video or an Abyssov video. Shiny Pokemon Hunter exposed in cheating scandal. 4.2 billion views. My life is over. My credibility ruined forever. But it was this and other things in my life that really got me to thinking, is this who I am? Is this me? Am I a bad person? What does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to be the best man, the best human being that I can be? So yes guys, here it is. I had my quarter-life crisis after cheating in a Pokemon challenge. And after 26 years, I have finally realized that I've been an asshole, a bit of a creep, and a bad person for basically my entire life. Did I ever feel like any of these things? No. But I now understand how I may have come across this way to other people. And I wanted to share all this with you guys, all this thinking going on here, because, you might feel down about yourself from time to time. You might hate conversations and you only have a few friends because of it. And, maybe some days you just don't feel happy with yourself or happy with your life, how things are going. And that was me. I was never outright sad or depressed really, but I never really felt happy. And I just had to take a look at myself and say, okay, yeah, maybe things aren't really working for me right now, but what is there that I can change? What exactly do I have to do? What steps can I take to be the person that I want to be? And those answers are going to be different for everyone, but I feel like I finally found mine. And because of that, I've never been happier. And I hope you guys find your answers as well. Subscribe for more inspirational speeches. Anyway, back to the cheating scandal. Riolu, Charmander, and Aerodactyl were all cheated. But we can use these as a case study for potentially being able to tell when people are faking reactions. I'm not saying this is a problem by any means in the Pokemon community, I don't think I've seen anybody do it. But, for science, I'll use my fake reactions as a comparison and let you know how you can tell these were fake. If you can remember my Torchic reaction, God dang it, God dang it, God dang it. I didn't get the actual reaction, but you can visibly see the enthusiasm on my face and hear it in my voice. And the same goes for when I would unexpectedly find the next shiny in ORAS while I was editing. Oh my god, already? Already? Aaron 160? Let's go! Let's go! Oh my god, that's so fast. You don't really need to see me react to the sparkles to be able to tell that this was real, but compare those to the Charmander reaction. Yo! Oh my god. Finally, dude. Oh, finally. Let's go. What's different exactly? It's the body language. If you've ever seen these police interrogation videos, you'll know they use these body language concepts quite a bit. Body language alone can never definitively tell you if somebody is lying or not, but it can be points on a graph. And I've been getting an understanding of body language because I've finally been talking to people in real life. Crazy, I know. I even had a sweet older lady try to give me her number after we had been talking for like an hour, having been complete strangers before. Anyway, check the body language on this reaction. You can see that even before the moment I was planning on reacting, I was already hiding my face from the camera. And during the reaction, I also buried my face in my hands. Neither of these were actually intentional. These are just subconscious ways we might avoid eye contact when we don't want to be caught lying. Again, these body language concepts aren't everything, and they don't necessarily mean you're lying. For actual reactions in this video, I bury my face in my hands. That's usually only for like a half a second or a second, and this is after getting a Pokemon that I didn't want. And when your parents ask you if you learned anything today at dinner, there you go. So Aaron showed up after only about 2 hours of horde hunting, all in one system, for a hunt that went under 1,000 encounters. Hordes are a great time saver, but boy are they stressful when you finally get the shiny. You need to make absolutely sure you don't accidentally press the wrong button and kill them. The GUI goes from left to right in this fashion. Something you need to keep in mind, as you can only throw a Pokeball when there's one Pokemon left, so you have to take out the other ones. I would carefully knock out the surrounding Pokemon and add Aaron to the team. But because these things have Mud Slap for an accuracy drop, this was 20 minutes of straight stress. Arguably torture, befitting of a war crime. But we'd eventually catch Pohaku O'Ia. It's Hawaiian for something related to rocks. I just can't remember what it is. I'd be able to train her up on the plethora of trainers I hadn't yet battled, trying to keep the levels on our starter in check. So after a little bit of grinding, it was time for Watson at the 3rd gym. For the 3rd gym, I thought it would be a brilliant idea to only use Pohaku, so I would struggle in here quite a bit. Even with items, just instilling the level cap made this one rather challenging. Rock Steel types don't resist electric, and Aaron line isn't exactly known for its special defense stat. So Volt Switch does a ton of damage each time. So with only Pohaku, the strategy came down to just use Bulldoze and heal when I needed to. A pretty boring strategy in the end. I did play around with Mud Slap, banking on accuracy drops to get some misses. But with only Pohaku, it was still unreliable even with healing items. But Watson using Volt Switch at the right time knocks out Magneton with Bulldoze, and with limited healing we can take enough hits to give us the victory. With our newfound access to Rock Smash, we can press forward through Mount Chimney and toward Fall Arbor Town. Wait, no, stop! Let me out of here. Help! Brendan provides an extra bit of guidance for us through this part of the game, something I'm not entirely against. He makes absolutely sure that you are going to Meteor Falls to help save Professor Cosmo, so I make absolutely sure to keep him waiting until after the next shiny hunt. You saw it in the thumbnail, it's time for Swablu. On Route 114, Swablu is available at a 65% horde encounter rate, with C-Dot or Lotad filling in the other 35%, depending on your game's version. And oh boy, this was a hunt. So let's swap back over to Pokemon Y. So at this point you can have 3 shiny Pokemon to fit the challenge, but we still only had a single badge, so it was time to fix that. With the sheer amount of time it takes to reach the 2nd gym, Riolu evolved into Lucario. And I don't feel the need to draw this out. A fully evolved Pokemon going against base form Pokemon is a walk in the park, especially when you quad resist the type of the gym. We go to the next round, Team Flare gets up to shenanigans, and Corinna's Lucario wants me bad. I'm sorry. You're beautiful, but there's another Lucario in my life. 2 routes and a rather large winding cave system later, and we arrive in Shalor City to speak with the Mega Evolution Guru. He teaches us about the ways of Mega Evolution. However, he only has 1 Mega Stone to hand out to us, meaning only one of us can leave with this sacred power. Callum wants us to battle for it, and it takes a few tries because I only wanted to use Aerodactyl for this, mainly because of level concerns. With a bit of brute forcing, we are the ones who will be able to Mega Evolve. You know, that's kind of the whole point of this challenge here. Before we can claim our Mega Bracelet, finally letting us perform Mega Evolution, we'll have to take on the 3rd gym with Corinna's normal team. And this fight was kinda bad. I wasted a couple turns using Hone Claws and Fire Fang when Flame Burst did about the same amount of damage, but then there were some damage range shenanigans going on with Machoke. Flame Burst and or Dragon Rage was going to 3-hit kill, but Corinna heals and Fire Fang proceeds to get the 2-hit KO even though Mienfoo has even defenses and Machoke is more physically bulky, so comparatively Fire Fang should have done less damage against Machoke, so I probably just got a very bad range on Flame Burst. A little bit of goofiness going on, and I just don't have all the answers. Machoke goes down, Hawlucha takes out Charmeleon, I switch to Aerodactyl, and coast to the victory. And just a quick question, does anybody else tend to try to make sure their Pokemon gets revived before finishing the battles? I feel like it's just the right thing to do. We get our badge and climb to the top of the tower. And yeah, okay, so technically this challenge is impossible in X and Y. Not only are you forced into using Corinna's Lucario for this battle here, but way back in the beginning, you had to use your starter for a few mandatory battles. And the Lucario you get from Corinna is shiny locked, so it's not like you could just sit there and try to shiny hunt for this. That's not an option. But I found a pretty funny video where somebody removed the shiny lock, got the shiny, and then it reverted to a regular Lucario after. So, ORAS is the definitive winner of this challenge, both in variety of Pokemon you can use, and you don't have to have an asterisk of, except for these battles. But we'll still continue on playing. We get the Mega Bracelet and can perform our first Mega Evolution. And from here, we're able to head straight for the next gym, with only one route standing in our way this time. Amazing. There's technically more you can do in Azure Bay, but I skipped that for now, because this is a grass gym, and during the third gym fight, Charmeleon was already at our entering the gym level cap. And of course, we all want to see Mega Charizard wreaking havoc on grass types that never stood a chance. Just some good old-fashioned, drought-boosted domination. But maybe that was getting a little carried away because he went over the level cap for the next gym against the gym leader. The gyms are rather concentrated toward the middle of the game, so you'll have some level overlap here. So it was finally time for us to stop the gym grind and get into our next shiny hunt. Or is it our first shiny hunt? I did find a couple of shinies on this save file during the Riolu hunt, but that's a tricky scenario. We could have technically hunted this before the fourth gym, but I decided to make more progress first, because it didn't really matter type matchup wise, because our next hunt is for Mareep. Mareep is a horde encounter on Route 12, and for some reason Cerebi doesn't have the listed percentages for these hordes like they do with ORAS. So a little side objective I had was to figure out what the percent chances were for each horde in the area, and this one took quite some time. So let's head back to ORAS. The Gambler's Fallacy on the Swablu hunt was strong. Trico was about half odds, Aaron was under a quarter odds, so naturally, Swablu was a little different. I hunted for about 8 hours on just one system before pulling out my Alpha Sapphire as well, and it still took another 11 hours before finding a shiny. And I again don't have the live reaction for this, but I do have the shaky phone camera footage that you desperately crave. And because it was on my Alpha Sapphire, the trade over into Omega Ruby was in high quality. Opua Pinui has joined the squad, which is almost Hawaiian for Super Bean Cloud. I was really thinking there with that one. After 10,705 encounters, I could continue on with the story. To train up Swablu, we'd run around to trainers I hadn't battled just yet, and when I was done with them, we'd head up and take on Team Magma at Mount Chimney, having our first battle with their leader, Maxie. Mightyana's up first. We hit Power Up Punch and get swaggered, which was a free +2. We never hit ourselves in confusion here. An Earth Power from his camera up to though was pretty sketchy, almost taking our chicken nugget out. We'd take it out and heal up to a slightly less scary Air Cutter from Golbat. But I was admittedly being stupid, and I didn't switch to Aaron, so Combuskin goes down. After sending Pohaku in, she gets confused, and just does not want to hit Maxie's Golbat. 3 turns later, she finally lands a Rock Slide for the victory. Maxie says he didn't take us seriously enough to Mega Evolve, so he wants another battle. But he gets a phone call and decides to dip, leaving us free to progress onward to the 4th gym. We still needed a bit more training on Apua, our Swablu, and I realized I could just continually train at higher levels on this camper outside of Lava Ridge. As in the Hoenn games, we have the rematch feature. And I did all of this training on Swablu just to use Combuskin for the entire 4th gym. What can you say, Swords Dance is just amazing. Against Flannery, I started off by going +4, while she uses Sunny Day and misses an Overheat. Power Up Punch for +5, Power Up Punch Nummel for +6. Torkoal is very bulky defensively though, so it only does half. And Torkoal uses Curse, so it goes +1 and we can't quite finish it off. But the Sunny Day she set up faded the previous turn, and I assume Flannery's AI is more likely to bring Sunny Day up again rather than anything useful in this situation. So Combuskin here scored a damageless victory. That's just incorrect. I don't know what was happening with scriptwriter me, but here is me taking damage. I don't know what happened. But his job's not done just yet, as after the badge, Brendan shows up. And in this game, we get the option to immediately go back to Petalburg to face the gym. But I would take a 10-minute detour to go get the low sweep TM, and I would try to beat my time on Cycling Road, which was like a whole thing I did earlier on. I just wanted to see the guy really happy with my time, and it just never happened. I took out my frustration with him on who else but my father. I'm just kidding, by the way. My dad and I have a good relationship. Of course, Norman's gym is scary for one reason: slackings, and I'll fuel the fear of slacking within you further. My +6 stab boosted flame charge at 4 levels higher than it did not kill it, and this was on the first slacking, and I was using flame charge to outspeed the other one, for the record, because if it went first using retaliate after I took out his Vigoroth, guaranteed one shot easily. But with the extra speed, Low Swede was able to knock both of them out. And at last, we've made our dad proud enough to call us his daughter. This brings us to a new addition in the ORAS story. After we venture past East Mauville, we run into Steven, and curiously, while talking to him, Latios appears. Team Magma is rather interested in Mega Evolution in this version of events, and they somehow learned the Latios on Southern Island has a Mega Stone. So we have a battle with Team Magma here, after which Latios joins our party. And I think it's important to note here that yes, Latios can be shiny, and it would count toward the challenge. But oh my god, hunting for it is just too much. Not only do you have a ton of text boxes to clear each reset, which would be a deterrent in and of itself, but you have to win a double battle with Steven each reset. For this hunt alone to reach odds would take over 100 hours, probably more like 150. As tempting as it is, as great as an addition it would be to this challenge, I personally just did not want to spend that much time on it. But I would be looking to hunt our next shiny before the 6th gym. The shiny I'm after has been available for a while, but hunting it in a reasonable way would have required the Dex Nav, which I was just a bit hesitant to use as my hunting method at the moment. But now with access to the grass on Route 118, we can get access to a horde encounter for Electrike at a 60% rate, accompanied by a 35% chance for a Wingull and a 5% chance for Kecleon. And for this hunt, I believe I did start double hunting it right away, but boy, it did not help. For some reason, the two most painful hunts of this challenge were both of our electric types here. Let's flip back to X and Y to show you what I mean. After a good while of hunting for Mareep, I was able to determine what the ratios for each of the hordes were on this route. It's very similar to the Electrike hunt. We'll swap around these two ratios, make Electrike Mareep, and turn Kecleon into farm animals. The farm animal hordes being 4 Tauros and a Miltank, making Miltank the rarest horde shiny on the route, effectively a 1% spawn, for which on average you would have to go 100 times over the normal shiny odds to see over 400,000 Pokemon to find a shiny Miltank. But Trails, why are you talking about this?
Oh my, shiny Tauros! God damn it.
Oh, come on, you thought I actually found a shiny Miltank. Tauros though, still pretty cool. This was my first shiny on the route here after 11,000 encounters. And that's with triple hunting these if you're curious about the timer here. This was on a used Japanese copy, and thankfully the save file had balls on it because I did not check before started hunting. So we phased on a Tauros. Not ideal, but you know, not bad. But now begins the curse of Wingull.
Oh my god, dude. Are you kidding me? There is no It's the same game? Oh my god, dude. What is happening?
Some important things to note about these two Wingulls is that this was not only at 6 AM, but the second one was only like 10 minutes later. And that's not the end of the story here, because later, in the same day, on the same game, three Wingulls. Mega Pelipper for Legend ZA, anyone? Well, this isn't going good. Let's check in with Omega Ruby. This shiny drought was terrible. The longest in the challenge. Maybe not time-wise, but encounter-wise. It got so bad, I thought maybe, just maybe, if I swap which system has which game, maybe that would change something. Maybe that would get my RNG back on track. Because we were just a casual 4 times over odds without finding a single shiny. And when I finally did...
Oh, Wingull! Wingull! Wingull!
Of course it's Wingull! You thought Lysander, Maxie, or Archie was the antagonist of Gen 6? Wrong, it's Wingull. That's how deep the Curse of Wingull was, and these were filmed 3 weeks apart, by the way. Looking for an electric type at similar points in the game, and I just get Wingulls. Not only that, but both of these hunts would eclipse that 20,000 encounter mark. During the Mareep hunt, this is about when my mindset had shifted, where I started to be more positive, started talking to people more. I called up my old friend Jimmy and said, hey, let's go grab dinner. Shout out Jimmy. And just before I left for that, our Mareep would finally shine.
Yes! Finally! Let's go! Let's go! And it's on the right screen.
Do you see those numbers? Over 26,000 encounters just for a sheep? Yeah, a sheep with freaking gorgeous hair. A fluffy sheep, Hipa Hulu Hulu in Hawaiian, according to Google. This hunt took so long, so many encounters, that I didn't realize something very, very crazy happened.
You just end up forgetting about them? So what we have? We got Surf, Rock Smash. This just Surf? Yeah, we got them. Sorry, no. You have been a good service. Been of good service to me, but we need to upgrade. We got Poker. I got Poker Rust, dude.
Okay, yeah, Poker Rust is about 1 in 22,000, so it makes sense to have run into it at some point during this. But it seems to have happened early enough that I got cured on all of my party Pokemon, so I wasn't able to spread it around. Given how much I've played Pokemon in the past, I'm pretty sure I found it naturally before, but this is still insane. But with our sheep in hand, we can progress the story, and I would do some training on our sheep until it didn't quite resemble a sheep anymore, and then I would take on the 5th gym. She didn't really help us in here anyway because this is the electric type gym, so we banked on Lucario for this one. With 1 Swords Dance and a Mega Evolution, Force Palm takes down Heliolisk, Bone Rush takes down Magneton, and Return takes down Emolga. Our shiny Bunnelby from earlier tries to evolve after the battle, but I'm a jerk, so I didn't let it. Our shiny Psyduck is also still a Psyduck because, you know, the shiny's way better. We met up with Lysander at the cafe. He was rambling about something beautiful he saw. Maybe it was your mom. We unlock Route 14 north of the city, and that's where we can set up for our next hunt. Gengar is among the 6 Mega Evolving Pokemon within the story, and now with access to Haunter, we can finally hunt it. For this one, I would catch a few, trade them between my English and Japanese games, and start hunting with the Masuda method, which in Gen 6, without the Shiny Charm, this is a 1 in 683 chance for a Shiny. Could I have done this for Mareep 2? Yes. And this is where you're probably expecting me to go back to ORAS, right? Because this hunt is going to take a while, right?
What? Yo, what? That is crazy, bro. That is crazy. Number 8? Number 8? Oh my holy shit. I got one more.
Yes, 8 eggs. How do you know I didn't cheat this one too? Well, aside from the fact that I cropped the timer from the previous hunt and the same recording, shout out to shinyhunt.com and their app, by the way. I know a lot of you guys have asked before, but maybe some still images will make the comparisons for you more clear. These are both greatly under odds, and these are both the same time after the reaction. Genuine, better than you were expecting excitement doesn't fade this quickly. Now, obviously, if you have the full live stream, the full start to finish of when that Pokemon was created, any of this analysis type stuff is completely irrelevant. And again, I don't think faking reactions is a serious issue in the community, but you can use some of this info practically to tell if people are lying to you or not in real life. And that is a very important skill to have. Honestly, part of me was disappointed with just how fast this hunt was, because I was not looking forward to the ensuing grind before the 6th gym. I wanted to have Gengar ready for it since Poison is super effective against Fairy, and for some reason they decided the only steel type move they wanted to give Lucario via level up was Metal Sound. Metal Claw is a move relearner move, Flash Cannon is a TM, Bullet Punch is an egg move, and Iron Tail is a move tutor move in ORAS. And those are all of its steel type attacking moves in Gen 6. And it hasn't even gotten much better. Gen 8 and 9 give it Meteor Mash by level up, but that's it. I'm sorry for the rant, but it is a steel type after all. I want it to have steel type attacking moves. One Lucario rant and one very bad shiny evolution later. I'd be able to see easily the best alternate form shiny glow up of all time, turning Gengar from one of the worst shinies in the franchise to arguably one of the best mega shinies. To continue the training, I went on a bit of a tour around the region, making sure to battle any trainers I hadn't yet battled. And after a tad bit more training on Route 14, I'd be ready to take on the gym with this amazing shiny Mega. And against Valerie, I did have a bit of a misplay. First turn, I Mega Evolve, and Mawile goes down to a Shadow Ball. But I kinda tunnel visioned on the whole poison super effective on Fairy, and kinda forgot about Mr. Mime, who has been weak to Shadow Ball for the entirety of the franchise. But actually not, because Ghost had no effect on Psychic in Gen 1. That just feels super wrong. But yeah, this let it set up a light screen, so I took an extra hit of damage from Sylveon, so maybe I could have only taken 35 damage on this fight instead of 52 damage. I deeply apologize for my failures. I will try to do better and learn from my mistakes in the future. With the 6th gym badge in hand, let's jump back over to Omega Ruby. The Electrike hunt didn't last quite as many encounters as the Mareep hunt. However, they lasted about the same amount of time, because this was on 2 systems instead of 3 systems. And you might be able to understand how the Electrike hunt felt longer than the Mareep hunt because I went so much longer without finding a single shiny. But regardless, I could breathe a sigh of relief when I finally found those different colored pixels.
Yes! Finally! I'm so glad I did more than one more. And I finally got it on the thing. Oh my god.
Wow, a reaction in ORAS. Finally on my capture card system too. This went slightly over 20,000 encounters, but I unfortunately did not get Pokeras on this file. It took about 3 times odds of just the Electrike that were seen. Meet Akua Uwila, the Lightning Goddess. That kinda goes hard. And I would be able to train her up before the gym on Team Magma, who is posted up inside of the Weather Institute. I love the fact that the big characters on the evil teams get a little more depth added to them, but don't you think they're important enough to have more than one Pokemon? This is a recurring problem. They're an admin, which would make you think they're pretty good in battle, but they have one Pokemon. Sure, it's higher level than the grunts, but you'd still expect more from them. The fight at the Institute was a little rough, but it was a Swablu against the camera. Of course it would be. I only had to heal once though. That's kinda funny to me. We saved the scientists, and after, completely oblivious to this whole situation, Brendan challenges us to a battle. And we had a pretty funny moment here. I swapped in Swablu to Aerial Ace on Shroomish, and then Effect Spore put her to sleep, but then Shroomish used Worry Seed to give us Insomnia, resulting in a very goofy half a turn of sleep. With his second Pokemon, Slugma. Pohaku steps in, and against Marshtomp, Apua's back in. For some reason, it doesn't have a water move. It uses Bide, so I take the opportunity to Cotton Guard to +6. So its super effective Rock Slide does nothing, but just like, why is there no water move? This is a major rival battle. Did they think that since it was raining it would be too strong or something? I did heal Apua just to be safe, since I was using Takedown, but it was an easy victory. We'd meet up with Steven for the scope, and do a little bit more training on Manectric, while simultaneously hunting for a potential new addition to the team. Using the DexNav, I was looking for Absol. Shout out Matt. Which means we can talk about the DexNav now. This is a shiny hunting feature only in ORAS, which has quite a bit of depth to it, making for an insane Cerebi page. To summarize this hunting method, for those who don't know, encountering a Pokemon from a species will add to the Pokemon's DexNav search level, and when you use the DexNav to encounter a Pokemon, it can have amazing shiny odds based on that search level. As good as 1 in 542 without the shiny charm, and as good as 1 in 181 with the shiny charm. But there's also a chaining mechanic to the DexNav, where every 5th Pokemon you encounter gets dramatically boosted shiny odds, and even more so when you hit chain 50 or chain 100. This system lets you see a shiny hunting rate as ridiculous as 1 in 41 without the shiny charm and 1 in 36 with the shiny charm. I wouldn't call chaining hard, but it's definitely easy to mess up if you're not careful. You need a decent amount of repels, and you may need to stand in specific spots in the area to keep the chain going. I went until search level 45, no shinies to be seen. These were in several different chains though, because I kept going back to heal for more power points for Manectric. I really wanted to stick to hitting my level cap before going into the gym, but honestly we probably could have taken this one on a lot earlier, considering this is the first gym that we're able to Mega Evolve. Taking center stage was Mega Akua Uwila. Using Discharge, she blasted through Winona's team, getting a full discharge on Altaria, which would have given her a flawless victory against her. And the only reason she didn't is because Winona's Swellow used Quick Attack on turn 1. We'll give her credit for a full flawless though. So now both games are past the 6th gym, but let's stick with ORAS for now since we're behind on our number of shinies. I'd make my way down to the Safari Zone where we can see Team Magma heading down to Mount Pyre. We explored the Safari Zone for a bit, contemplating if I would be hunting something here yet or not, but I didn't want to commit to anything just yet. First we'd explore Lily Cove City. In doing so, we'd face another battle with Brendan. And on this one I made a bit of a mistake by immediately Mega Evolving Manectric, when Electric type is really not that useful in this fight. I take down Swallow and switch to Apua for Swampert, who scores a crit Rock Slide to ignore my defense boosts. It does land a Muddy Water, lowering our accuracy, so I opted for the slightly more accurate, less damaging move in Dragon Breath over Fly. Our Altaria has a minus special attack nature, which kinda really got on my nerves at times. With Swampert down, our Mega Chicken Nugget comes in to clean up the rest of the team, and we beat him so bad he ran back to Little Root Town. Finally, we have peace, and we can explore the rest of the city. And between here and the 6th gym, I finally made my decision on what I would be hunting next. While I do need a dark type, the team was still lacking a water type or a grass type presence too. And that's a problem when 3 of the 4 members are weak to ground. And one Pokemon will solve those problems for us. Gyarados, and hunting for it would give me my first experience with another shiny hunting method, chain fishing. This hunting method is rather simple. If you fish in the same spot without moving, your first cast will be normal, your second cast will give you 2 extra shiny rolls, your third cast will give you 4 extra shiny rolls, etc., etc., until you have 40 bonus shiny rolls, meaning your odds are about 1 in 100 once you reach chain number 21. Because this is time sensitive, I would say this is a bit harder than DexNav chaining. But if you're reasonably lucky, this will also take a lot less time. And so I fished. I kept reeling in Magikarp after Magikarp, double hunting, keeping track of each system's chain individually. And there were quite a few fails. But I was also getting to some pretty high chain numbers.
We're on a 53 chain right now. My 77 chain, man.
Though of course with max odds of 1 in 100, it would only be a matter of time.
Yes! Let's go! Let's go! Magikarp appeared.
Getting a shiny in less than 2 hours, and that being over odds, it's no wonder why people liked chain fishing so much when this gen came out. Catching our shiny Magikarp here revealed its amazing Pokedex entry.
Magikarp is a pathetic excuse for a Pokemon that is only capable of flopping and splashing.
If only the Pokedex could see the future that's in store for this pathetic Pokemon. So of course I called it Pathetic Not. I'd keep on chaining until the chain broke, as it would have been cool to get a second one. Once I finally broke it, it was time to train him up. And what better way to do so than take on the next part of the Team Magma storyline. And while we were doing that, we'd be taking advantage of a mechanic in Gen 6, where if your Pokemon would have evolved at a lower level than it currently is, you can delay the evolution for bonus experience, helping our training go that extra little bit faster. We hit Mount Pyre's summit and face the admin, Courtney, who again only has a Camerupt. It just doesn't feel like the teams of the admins reflect the importance they have in the organization. I imagine a lot of you guys know the story from here. We defeat her here, we go to Slateport, they steal the submarine, and we take on the hideout. At the end of which, we take on Courtney again. Like, really? Nothing our Mega Gyarados couldn't handle. She tells us of the seafloor cavern, and I guess we're just supposed to know that we need Dive for this, and the 7th gym will let us use Dive. I might just be forgetting that somebody calls you and tells you to take on the gym, but you know, I'm just too lazy to check. The 7th gym posed a bit of a unique problem for this challenge. Tate and Liza are level 45, and the level cap for Wallace would be 46. So going into this, I knew I would need to utilize some type of strategy that would allow me to take down this gym under-leveled. So I actually, get this, used my brain and took the time to think about it. And I found a pretty easy solution. With our newly acquired Mega Gyarados, its ability becomes Mold Breaker, which will ignore the levitate abilities of our opposing Pokemon. You pair that with Apua, who is a flying type, which avoids ground type moves, and bulk up its defenses with Cotton Guard to mitigate the damage from Rock Slide, and you have a pretty perfect duo for this gym. Gyarados would spam Bulldoze for super effective spread damage and speed drops, and Altaria would raise her defenses and use the super effective Steel Wing, allowing us to not only defeat the gym while being underleveled, but we didn't use a single healing item either. Yeah, that's right. Who's pathetic now? After the 6th gym in Pokemon Y, we head north to the Pokeball Factory, where Team Flare is causing a ruckus. They're here to steal a bunch of Pokeballs for themselves, but also try to recruit the president to Team Flare for $5 million. There's a roadblock forcing you to go here where they do this same thing, but apparently even if you have all of the money you need to join them, it just doesn't lets you join them and doesn't do anything. So why do they even say they're recruiting people for 5 million Pokédollars? We take down one of these Team Flare admins, Callum joins us for the other admin, and the president thanks us by letting us choose whether to take a Master Ball or a Big Nugget. Big Nugget all the way, guys, trust me. This allows us to head east into the snowy areas and Dendemil Town, and heading north we can find Team Flare once again. This time they're harassing an Abomasnow, and if we save it, Abomasnow thanks us for saving it by giving us the Abomasite, which is the 6th and final Megastone we can get before the post-game. So as such, we will be hunting Snover next. Once again, we would be using the Masuda method for this hunt. None of our options in X and Y have chain fishing as an option. And our other hunting methods are from the Poke Radar, which I believe is in the post-game, and the Friend Safari, which we can't get to until the post-game. So Masuda method is honestly the main way you would want to get your shinies in X and Y. But maybe there's some bias in me saying that, because this one also came in pretty under odds.
Yay! Nice. Nice. Got 276.
So yeah, odds for Masuda on 2 systems should take about 12 hours or so, and I kinda just got 2 shinies in half of that time. Both for this and the Ghastly situation, I just kinda felt ready for a longer hunt, but I just didn't get one. To train up Snover a bit, I would find and take on a few trainers I hadn't battled yet, but decided to take on the gym without properly training it up, because unfortunately type matchup wise it doesn't really have that much to offer for us through the rest of the game, so sorry to say it's just a bit of a filler character on the team. Heepa Hulu Hulu would be taking the reins on Gym 6, since I figured Gengar is weak to Psychic type and Ampharos hasn't really had any notable gym action yet, and 2 of the gym leader's Pokemon are weak to Electric types. I mean, hey, Snover can at least make the claim of doing damage on this gym though, thanks to its Snow Warning ability. I swap to Ampharos, we Mega Evolve, a Light Screen prevents the one-shot, allowing Olympia to heal, before Sigilif eventually folds. Between the chip damage from Hail and a crit Psychic, Ampharos needed some healing. We'd save her from elimination, and go for a couple of Thunderbolts to take down Slowking while it was trying to set up with Calm Mind. And against her Meowstic, we'd have to heal up one more time, since Mega Ampharos is pretty slow and just takes a bunch of damage, but a couple more Thunderbolts would get us the victory, and the 7th gym badge is now ours. So after the 7th gym in both stories is the point where shit hits the fan. Maybe I'm a bit biased towards Gen 3 here, but I felt the build-up for the climax was done a little more eloquently in ORAS. Throughout the story of X and Y, we've been speaking to Lysander, and yes, you can tell something is a little off about him right from the get-go, but you're mainly having talks about Mega Evolution and the beauty of the world, and then he kind of hard pivots into, yeah, let's just blow up the world, and Team Flare will be the only people to survive. As he puts it, wiping out civilization would return the world to its beautiful and natural state. But if Team Flare is anti-society, and they destroy society, then who is going to make all those fashion lines for them? But really, Lysander's main point is the lazy people of the world will make the world ugly and cause a bunch of wars. So the best course of action is to nuke the planet so these ugly conflicts can't begin? Does irony or self-awareness not exist here? Like, he is starting the conflict that will make the world ugly. It's just my personal opinion, but I think ORAS pulls off the climax much better than X and Y does. It's definitely better than base Gen 3 because the revisions they made to the story make their actions make sense with Mega Evolution as a new angle, and it was done well. With Mega Evolution, the meteorite and the orbs are more important to the story, and they also add a few other instances where Mega Evolution is a key factor. But for Team Flare, I think about their actions and they're kinda random, or they're just not well explained. Sure, they need power for the death machine, so going to the power plant makes sense, but with our first meeting with them, they were investigating the one cave because of fossil fuels, maybe? And then why exactly would they need a bunch of Pokeballs when they're about to drive a ton of Pokemon to extinction? I didn't put too much effort into looking into the Gen 6 story, but the dots just don't connect in the same way they do for ORAS for me. A lot of you like to remind me you don't play Pokemon for the story anyway, but that doesn't mean the story can't be good. We are going on an upward trend when it comes to the Pokemon stories though, so hopefully Legends EA is going to have a good story, and it'll bump up Kalos in my tier list of Pokemon region stories. Actually, looking at the story, Team Magma's ultimate plan is to awaken Groudon in the seafloor cavern. We arrive just in time to take down Maxie, and he just wakes up Groudon anyway. What a noble guy he is. Groudon is not a morning person. He's really enraged and hungry when he wakes up, so he makes for Sutopolis and the Cave of Origin, where a large ancient power source resides that will allow for its primal reversion to occur. And in these dire times, what better action for our hero to take than to run across the region to every Pokemart because I needed more Pokeballs. Now, speedrunners of this game would never do this, but let's take a moment to appreciate the extra depth and extra conversation we get to have with the important characters at the end of the game here. The times in which the OG Pokemon games released were so much different. Much of the developers' creativity with their characters were limited because of data storage limits. But with ORAS, they had basically unlimited text box space, so they were able to make the characters a little more whole. And the scenery and the lead-in to the battle with Groudon is great. Hopping on its back to reach the chamber, the stare down we have, the primal reversion, very nice. Faced with Groudon, the Quick Ball would sadly not work for me this time, but Gyarados would. Its flying type avoids the ground type moves, and its water type resists the fire type moves, and we had enough HP to use potions on it effectively when necessary. Groudon would eventually use Rest, and after a couple Earthquakes, I'd capitalize on its sleeping with a successful Timer Ball. And with catching it, we caused Teutopolis to shoot a laser beam at the primal sun Groudon spawned and caused it to explode. Okay, maybe there are some parts of the story that still just don't make complete sense, but we all lived happily ever after. But wait, we still only have 5 Pokemon. I did plan on doing the final hunt after the Magma finale, but an unintentional consequence of this is our options for the final shiny have expanded dramatically. In ORAS, a few things get unlocked after the Primal Legendary narrative ends. Among these are some additional Mega Stones, as well as the National Pokedex feature of the Dex Nav, and this unlocks a large amount of Pokemon that weren't previously available in Hoenn. There were some really good options here, maybe even some OP options, but I decided to use a Pokemon that I would basically never use otherwise. I tend to avoid bug types, and Beedrill is, below average without Mega Evolution. So with the National Dex feature on the Dex Nav, we can head to the Safari Zone and search for a shiny Kakuna. And in the meantime, we can finish up the Team Flare plotline. Just beyond the secret entrance to the Lumiose Cafe, we meet Lysander for a battle. Gengar beats Mienfoo, Ampharos beats Gyarados, I was dumb, so Pyroar melted Lucario, and Aerodactyl cleans up the team after that. We fully explore the hideout to find Victor Wembanyama's uncle trapped inside. And if you know basketball, that fits way better than it actually should. Victor Wembanyama is a really tall French basketball player, for the record. At the end of the hideout, we take on the second in command, Xerosic. And we choose the correct button, and the world is now saved. Very good, very good. I'll take my Medal of Honor now. Oh, what's that? He's a bad guy, so he just activates it anyway? Yeah, that makes sense. Lysander made a break for the weapons bunker in Geosenge Town, so we'll have to follow him there eventually, but Snover still wasn't quite trained up enough. He was still about 14 levels behind, so I would do what training was available to me on Route 16. And I was getting impatient enough that I would use the rare candies that we did have to get to the Abomasnow evolution sooner, so boom, Mega Abomasnow. There were still a couple trainers that I could bully with it after, but in the end I would head to Geosenge Town with it still being quite a bit underleveled. Once inside the bunker, we meet with Lysander at the front, and he wants to battle again. Aside from 2 of his Pokemon evolving, it goes the exact same way. Gengar, Ampharos, and Mega Aerodactyl this time take care of everything in the exact same way as like 2 levels ago. Then in our efforts to stop this weapon from going off, we head down towards the basement. On the way down, we get a sequence of battles with Callum battling alongside us. We take down nameless admins and grunts and make our way to the innermost chamber, where we're faced with 4 team member admins guarding Yveltal. You defeat each one, and boom, it's time to battle Big Deadly Bird. And thanks to the Pokeball Boutique in Lumiose City, I had plenty of luxury balls to catch it with. And with paralysis, I would catch it in the first one. Lysander was not a fan of us stealing our bird, so we have yet another battle with him. The main difference this time is that Gyarados can Mega Evolve. Skip! Oh wait, the Gyarados actually gave me some trouble this time. Gyarados has Earthquake, which is easily able to take out Ampharos when Mega Evolved. She also wasn't 100% HP on this one, so that was kind of expected. I swapped to Gengar and got one-shot by Aqua Tail, and Lucario gets one-shot by Earthquake as well. I understood at this point I'd probably have to end the fight with some of our team fainted. To minimize losses, Lucario would be the choice, being faster than Gyarados and super effective when it gains the Dark typing. We had to accept 2 fatalities here, but Lysander would be defeated. I mean, they'll come back, I just had to revive them. And in the aftermath, Lysander proves himself to be the Pokemon villain with the least amount of redeeming qualities, as even after getting trounced for the 3rd time in a rather short time frame, he still tries to activate the weapon and end the world. Thankfully, it's only able to destroy the weapon and the infrastructure around it, but this means he and basically every member of Team Flare just dies. Unless I missed a part of their dialogue where they're like, oh no, they're actually okay. That's quite dark for a Pokemon game. After our celebrations over defeating the bad guys and a deep monologue by AZ, we get into the falling action of the story. A couple routes and a battle with the professor later, we have ourselves a battle with Shauna, Trevor, and Tierno. While it would have been hell to have tons of battles with each of the 4 rivals, the side rivals still feel a bit underutilized. We get 2 battles from Shauna, 1 single battle with Trevor, 2 single battles with Tierno, and a double battle with Trevor and Tierno. Considering she has the 3rd starter, I think 2 battles with Shauna is quite low. 1 here and 1 at the beginning of the game. And it just kind of feels wrong that Tierno has more battles with us than she does. I think only having Trevor in a single and double battle is fine, considering he has Pokedex battles with us instead. That's kind of what he does. After our battle with each member of the crew, they wander off, this being the last time we see all of them in the main story. I wander around the surrounding routes, fighting all the trainers to catch up on levels for Abomasnow, get completely lost in the forest, and find the 8th gym leader surrounded by flowers. Having found him here, he returns to the gym, and once we make it back ourselves, we can wrap up the gym challenge by taking on the Ice-type gym. And Wulfric, I'm pretty sure, is the highest level gym leader in the franchise. But you know, Ice-types are Ice-types, so I would just get Charizard to step up here, and Drought Flamethrower would literally melt his entire team. Meanwhile, in Omega Ruby, I was getting good with the Dex Nav, and in case you were curious, this was actually during Safari Week. But you know, I feel like it's not in the spirit of Safari Week to do a hunting method, and this isn't even a real Safari Zone. You have battles with these Pokemon. And I also just kinda wasn't in the mood for streaming at the time, but they're returning soon, TM. This is the first time I've seen a Dex Nav hunt all the way through, and I will say there's so much depth to it. For one, the center point of the range is where the search finalizes, not where you initiate it, and the search is going to bias towards the end of the range, usually wanting to be off screen. And I also found one of the most sacred of arts, bee tapping. Not only does it make your character look hilarious, but it's a controlled, speedy way to get that extra bit of efficiency when you're hunting. Now, given the complexity of the odds here, saying how long these hunts should take is really kind of tricky, and there's tons of things that can slow you down, making a time-based estimate really improbable. One of the main things slowing you down being you have to catch or KO every Pokemon in the chain. Definitely a downside, I had to catch some additional Pokemon to be able to keep chains going without over-leveling our main Pokemon here. But overall, in DexNav, I had a good time. I got pretty decent at it, getting to the elusive 100 chain twice. And you know, it was just something new and different that I hadn't really done before. But that doesn't mean I wasn't relieved when I finally saw the shiny.
Yes! Yes!
There it is.
Yes! Yes!
And just in time before the end of Safari Week. Very cool. This was a 54 chain, a total of 656 encounters. So that's good, I guess? That might be a little under what you'd expect. At that point in the hunt, base odds on each Kakuna are 1 in 647, but your odds are a lot worse leading into that. But with all the random boosts and the every 5 boosts that could balance it out, maybe even make you expect it a little faster than I got it. Somebody wants to do all the math on the cumulative odds on dex nabbing, I would really appreciate that, you know? But this hunt for me took about 9 hours, which for an older game is not too bad. To get the Beedrillite, I would have to take us through C. Mauville, a side area on one of the earlier water routes, and getting it requires us to fully explore the area and complete a bit of a side quest while we're at it. But obviously it's worth doing to make Beedrill a useful Pokemon. After this, there was no more waiting. It was time for the 8th gym, and time for our good pal, Wallace. In retrospect, it's kind of wild that they went from 2 Pokemon for the gym leaders on Gym 7 to 5 Pokemon for the gym leader on Gym 8. Our gamer of choice for this one would obviously be Manectric. We do have the Wishcast to deal with, but for that I would switch to Altaria, and a combo of Dragon Pulse and Fly would take it out. And the Lightning Goddess does what she does best, using Discharge to destroy the rest of the team. And this means it's time for Victory Road in both games, during which in both we run into a rival of ours for a battle. And each of these rivals has their own issues. Using rival as a term for Wally is pretty loose since we only battle him in front of the 3rd gym, and then he just kinda shows up here. You never really see him get to develop his team. And for that matter, after the 5th gym, we don't even really talk to him at all, and he just has a full team now and shows up here. Callum or Serena is in Y's victory road, this being our 5th battle with them, which I think is fair, depicting them as the main rival, but with that I want to ask, why did we have to fight Callum at level 30, 33, and 37? I don't know, if you ask me, you'd delete the 33 battle and have one a little bit earlier maybe? Because level 30 being the first time we fight him is very late. But I think the worst offense of all here is that his starter never has 4 moves. Even in the post game, it only knows 3 moves. If this was one of the weaker rivals, sure, I guess I would get it. But the main one? But all this talk aside, we have to be asking the real questions out here. If we put Wally and Callum up against each other right now, who would win? Callum has a pretty big level advantage here, but Wally has Swords Dance Mega Gallade. And when you think about it, Wally could actually win this. If it's Jolly Nature and built properly, it outspeeds everything on Callum's team, and being able to set up on Vaporeon would probably be pretty feasible. So as long as Wally's other 4 Pokemon would be able to take down Meowstic, I think Wally would be the winner here. But it would still take quite a bit of incompetence on Callum's part to lose this. But hey, at least one thing we know for sure is that Wally's battle theme is so much better. It's not even a question. And now it's time, the Elite Four and Champion. And for a challenge like this, I think it's best done using a different Pokemon for each member of the League Challenge. That just feels like the proper ending. First up in Omega Ruby is Sydney. Up for the challenge and trying to do something useful for the playthrough is Beedrill. And this did take a few tries to get right because, my god, they tried to make every Mightyena in the game the biggest troll possible. We Swords Dance, get swaggered, heal the confusion, tank a hit, and X-Scissor down Sydney's team. Mega Beedrill's stats are all pumped into its speed and attack, making this a very easy sweep. As long as confusion doesn't get in the way. And first up in Y is Wickstrom. His steel types would obviously be no match for Charizard. However, his Probopass has Sturdy, and rock types are still rather scary for a Charizard. So for that, we'd switch to Lucario and take it out, and get back to our totally not a dragon to burn up the rest of the team. Next up in Omega Ruby is Phoebe. Believe it or not, Gyarados is the clear option here. We Mega Evolve and Dragon Dance for +2, after which you can just crunch through Phoebe's entire team. For some reason I opted for Waterfall on Sableye, and that just doesn't matter at all. They're basically the same move. And this fight went well. We would only take damage from a Shadow Punch from Dusknoir and a Fake Out from Sableye, making for a rather clean sweep. Next up in the Fire Chamber, we have Malva, and Mega Aerodactyl is our guy. A single Rock Tomb didn't take down Pyroar, so with a Home Claws we set up to hopefully make the rest of the sweep clean. I did have to heal up once though, as Pyroar does have Wild Charge for coverage against water types, but after a final Home Claws to +3, the rest of Malva's team goes down easy. You may have actually noticed for the X and Y Elite Four I came in decently underleveled. I just didn't want to grind, and I figured I didn't really need to, especially with healing items. And now I want to use this halfway point in the Elite Four to say thank you guys for watching. As I've been working on this, in fact it was probably like a half hour ago while I was recording this, we just hit 85,000 subscribers. And that's with a lot of my content being admittedly kinda bad. Things are only going to be looking up from here. So again, thank you guys for watching, and to the longtime supporters out there, a huge thank you to you guys for sticking by me. You guys are the real MVPs. Time for Hoenn Elite number 3, Glacia. Pohaku, our Mega Aggron, came in to handle business here. Ironhead hits for big damage on Glalie, and Rock Slide is enough to 2-shot Walrein. And I don't know if this is bad, but I kinda only realized just before this battle, or maybe while I was hunting Kakuna, that Mega Aggron is a pure Steel type. And if it wasn't a pure Steel type, Pohaku would have fallen to this Frostless Shadow Ball. But an Ironhead takes her out, and we were able to heal up for the next one. We get an astounding 1-turn confusion, after which Pohaku takes care of business with Ironhead. Now for Kalos Elite number 3, Seabold. He's oddly fascinated with comparing cooking to Pokemon battles. And he was kinda cooking with that one, I'm not gonna lie. With his water types, our obvious choice was Ampharos. Her flowing locks easily dispatch of his first 2 Pokemon. However, once Starmie comes in, we ran into a bit of a problem. It has the incredibly niche coverage for this situation, Dazzling Gleam, and Mega Ampharos gains Dragon typing. So I had to navigate this situation a bit carefully. I healed up after Gyarados' Earthquake, allowing Starmie to get up a light screen. To gain speed control, I'd use Thunder Wave, while Dazzling Gleam does about a third. Next turn, both of us are weak, and this is an obvious situation for Seabold to heal. But instead of healing myself, I would make a big brain play of using Thunder Wave that turn, ensuring that I still had the speed control. And after healing up Ampharos, the light screen would wear off, allowing us to one-shot with Thunderbolt. And against the power of her gorgeous flowing hair, Seabold's Barbaracle was no match, leaving the final member of the Kalos Elite Four, Drazna. Dragon types. Obviously I should use Abomasnow, right? No, that's the wrong answer. Mega Abomasnow is super slow, and 75% of her team has a super effective move. One of them is even Stab, so I chose to go with fast but slightly less deadly with Mega Gengar, who has Dazzling Gleam for coverage. This strategy still involved some healing, but at least we wouldn't lose our Mega and potentially have to spam revives. Gengar did just enough damage to keep Dragalge and Noivern from healing, taking them out in a few turns. But just to get Abomasnow some action on the Elite Four, I would swap her in against Altaria, who she outspeeds and gets a guaranteed one-shot with Blizzard. We swap back to Gengar for Druddigon, who aims to annoy me with Dragon Tail switch-outs. On the swap to Aerodactyl, I healed up Gengar, and it goes for Dragon Tail again, but conveniently switches Gengar back out. With one final Dazzling Gleam, we get the victory. And now, the final member of the Hoenn Elite Four, Drake. And I did something a little goofy here. My brain hadn't fully settled on who I was going to mainly use for this fight, even though Altaria is the obvious choice. I think what happened here is either I forgot Fairy is immune to Dragon at the time, or forgot that Altaria was a Dragon Fairy when it Mega Evolved. Against Dragon Fairy, the total number of super effective moves that Drake has is 2. Obviously use Mega Altaria. But against Drake's Altaria, I used Manectric because everything was neutral? I really don't even know, man. This was the main thing that got me to use Manectric in the Elite Four though. For Flygon, I swapped to Altaria, and it was a wrap from there. Moonblast just absolutely destroyed everything, and the sad part about that is, this wasn't even the optimal strategy I could have used. Due to the minus special attack nature, Altaria's physical attack was quite a bit stronger. With Pixelate as the Mega Evolution ability, an extremely good option here would have been Return. She would have been max Friendship, or at least close to it, for 102 base power, plus 30% from Pixelate, plus Stab, plus super effective. And now it's a physical fairy move that would have hit these dragons so hard it would cause a grandfather paradox without time travel. And now, the final battles of this challenge. Champion Steven of Hoenn and Champion Diantha of Kalos. Hundreds of hours, both in shiny hunting and playing through the games to see what their stories have to offer, come to a close here, and we'll come at them with everything we've got. Steven leads Skarmory, Diantha leads Hawlucha. Steven faces the full power of the Mega Chicken Nugget, and Ampharos leads the charge against Diantha. Thunderbolt takes down Hawlucha in one blow, and Blaziken sets up Swords Dance and tanks an Aerial Ace. Hawlucha was the main threat to our true carry, Lucario. On the switch to Tyrantrum, we Mega Evolve and set up Swords Dance on Y as well. Skarmory's Sturdy makes for a good way to get rid of all of Steven's healing items. It tanks a few Brick Breaks and bows down to Blaziken. His Aggron also has Sturdy, and he knocks us into the red, but we still have plenty of healing at our disposal. And now both of these champions are helpless, and watch in horror as Lucario destroys Tyrantrum, Blaziken cleans up Aggron, we eliminate Goodra, use our brute strength on Claydol, shatter Auroras into pieces, get a reflect breaking crit on Credilli, carve up Gorgeist, and we break Armaldo's shell. Their backs against the wall, Steven and Diantha call upon the hidden powers of their Pokemon. The deep bond they share, unlocking the true potential of Mega Gardevoir and Mega Metagross. But at the end of the day, come on, Swords Dance doesn't care how strong the power of friendship is, and the fighting spirit of our Mega Chicken Nugget takes down the both of them, and that's how to become the champion of Gen 6 with only shiny Mega Pokemon. But, you know, you should probably leave out the cheating part. And about that Pokedoku board yesterday, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.